Good evening. This is Dr. Nandi and welcome to FITWITMD. This is the first live webinar that we are doing, and I am so happy and excited to finally be here. There's been a lot of thought and planning that's been going into this, and this has been a passion that I've been kind of crafting on the side for a while. FITWITMD is not just about me, Neil Nandi, the doctor. It's just about a way of actually living and thinking and getting through life. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. This whole show, again, was inspired really by my career path through inflammatory bowel disease. And I've learned so much from my own friends, my family, and my patients, and tried to apply those truths to my own life when it comes to wellness, nutrition, diet, all sorts of things. So that's what this show is kind of about. Today, we have a very special guest who I'm going to introduce right after this moment. All right, welcome back. We have a special guest this evening. Her name is Dr. Jacalyn. That's how she goes, or Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, formerly. She is a wonderful IBD patient advocate, and I cannot wait to introduce you to her. So tonight we're going to be interviewing Dr. Kerbeck and learning a little bit just about her passion, her inspirations and motivations, why she advocates for Crohn's and colitis. Just a little bit on Dr. Kerbeck. She is a very accomplished person if you don't know her in real life. She has a long list of accolades and titles and hats that she wears. Very intriguingly, she is the host of her very own TV show, Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. That's Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to rvntv.tv and you can look at all the shows that they filmed so far. And they have some wonderful guests that they interview every single week. And actually, two were some of our own local Crohn's and Colitis Foundation Philadelphia fundraisers, Don Halsey and Emily Cohen. So I encourage you to check that episode out. A little bit about Dr. Kerbeck. This is a wonderful picture of her and I at Spin 4. I've gotten the pleasure to know Dr. Kerbeck really the last 2 years. Dr. Jacalyn, shall I say, the last 2 years. She is very accomplished. She has got an MBA in finance. She has a doctorate in business administration. She's a licensed realtor. She's also a certified holistic career and executive life coach. She's the real deal. In her personal life, she is a IBD patient, an IBD advocate, an IBD warrior. And what I mean by that is not only does she attend Crohn's and colitis events, she actually devotes her time online, offline, to helping make the world a better place. She's a support group leader here at one of our local Philadelphia support groups. She's an executive council board member for the Philadelphia chapter. She's also a Take Steps team captain. She's got her own team fundraising money for Crohn's and colitis. And she's actually a member of the committee that organizes Spin 4 Crohn's and Colitis Cures. That's where this photo is from. And she's got her own captain team as well. She's also been a Team Challenge member. She's an Evening of Hope committee member that raises more funds for research for Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. She is also, as you will learn later, a yogi. So you might be asking, what is it that Dr. Jacalyn doesn't do? That's a very good question. Let me bring our guest on. Dr. Kerbeck, welcome to the show and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Nandi. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a great honor to have you on. When I think of patient advocacy, someone who's really dedicated their time, I think of you. So it's a great honor to have you on this program. Can you give us a little insight and on our viewers out there as to kind of a snapshot of your story and how you came to be the person you are today, and how has colitis motivated you or shaped you?
Yes, thank you. I'd be happy to. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis by Dr. Gary Wittgenstein from University of Pennsylvania Hospital in 1991. It was a stressful time in my life, and my body was reacting in a way I had never felt before. And I mostly lived in silence because I was ashamed and I was embarrassed at all of the complications that come with having ulcerative colitis. And it wasn't until 2018 when a friend of mine mentioned to me that he had met Michael Traeger, who was the president of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, and that I should really get in touch with him so that I could be with other people that would understand what I was going through. And I remember when I met with Michael, we met at the Iron Hill Brewery in Ardmore, and I said, I'm really sorry, but I can't eat anything, I can't drink anything, and I probably can't stay and talk to you because I'm ill. And he said, it's okay, I am too. And from that minute on, I was just overwhelmed with emotions because I had not met anyone who knew what I was going through. And you know this, doctor, but at the height of having a flare, you might be running to the bathroom. I know I have 40 times a day, 50 times a day. You start walking, then you start running, then you're crawling, then you're just sleeping in the bathroom. And I never wanted to talk about that because there's nothing really sexy or attractive about that. And what I found through becoming involved with the Crohn's Colitis Foundation is I was basically taking my own path, determining how I was going to medicate or not medicate, if I was going to try something holistic or I wasn't. And as a result of being involved with the foundation, I went back on my medication. I became part of this community of incredibly inspiring and uplifting people. I've spoken to patients numerous times just through the events that the foundation has and also through the support groups. And I just feel I'm not alone. And I try to help others feel that even though you might have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease or IBD, that's not who you are. That's something that you have, and it doesn't identify you as a person. So I feel privileged and blessed to have met you and everyone else who's involved with this organization because you really have changed my life. So thank you.
You know, I was listening intently, and I think there's a lot of things that you kind of touched upon that I'm sure many of our viewers out there can relate to. A couple of things that touch me is that, not verbatim, but this doesn't define you, right? This illness doesn't define you, right? I think that was something important you just said there. It doesn't have to hold you back. If you just listen to if all of you are listening to my intro of Dr. Jacalyn, she is not a woman who gets held back, if you can't tell. What are some words of advice for anybody out there on if they're in a rut? You know, what can they do if their illness is getting them down mentally or spiritually? What would you recommend?
Thank you. The first thing I would recommend is that you seek medical attention. I know people who decide that they're going to do a holistic approach, which, believe me, I'm all about holistic approaches. But go and see someone, get a diagnosis, and then work with the professionals to determine what the best path for you is. Also realize that not only are you physically under trauma, but you are emotionally also under trauma. Try to limit your exposure to people who are negative, people who are constantly really not understanding the depth of which your illness is influencing your life. For example, I heard many people say, why don't you just take a Pepto-Bismol, or maybe if you got more sleep. But the truth is, if you have an autoimmune illness, you need to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself means self-care first. And that means the physical aspects, the emotional aspects, and surrounding yourself with people who care. The next thing is, don't sit in silence. Don't be alone. Reach out to the foundation, reach out to a support group. There are people who understand what you're going through, and they really care. And once you realize, and again, I hate to just go back to this, but running to the bathroom however many times is mentally draining. I used to have a chart of anywhere I had to go for work and where the bathrooms were on the way. And not only that, how many bathrooms were there? Were there 3 bathrooms? Were there high ceilings? Was there music playing? And all of these things would factor into where it is that I actually would go. Many times I'd have to get on a train or get on a plane, and I would not be able to eat for 2 days. Or maybe I'd have to get up at 3 in the morning to be able to eat so that I could take my medicine, so that I could get sick, so that I could go out. So I bring all this up because whatever it is as a patient you're going through, as a caregiver, as a family member who's trying to support, you're not the first person who's going through this, and there are people who will help you, who understand. Just don't sit in silence. Reach out. Again, don't label yourself as someone who has a horrible disease. You're someone who has an autoimmune illness, and I promise you, you're going to be much stronger as a result of this. You're going to do things that you never thought you possibly could do. Just believe in yourself.
I think you're one of the best motivational speakers that I can imagine for our community, and I think your words really ring true. I'm seeing some of the comments that are popping up here for me, and I think they're wise words. Don't live in silence. If you're out there, mental health, spiritual health, these are really important. And as Dr. Jacalyn, who is a life coach, said, you should, multi-pronged approach. Seek medical attention, seek medical help, complement that with holistic thinking, therapeutic, not just for the body, but for the mind and soul. I also want to point out something that I've always admired about you, Jackie, which is, you're a fit lady. You can kick some butt. And if you guys know Jackie, she can kick some butt. She kicked my butt last Saturday. Dr. Kerbeck is a certified yoga instructor, and she so humbly, graciously led us in our very first, for our team, Pens Got the Runs. That's our fundraising team for Crohn's and Colitis. She led us in a virtual yoga last Saturday from 10 to 11. I was still sore all week, and I was stretching every night because I was like, I got to be in better shape when I go again for round 2, which is this coming Saturday. Let me ask you. I love fitness. I like to work out, I like to exercise, take care of myself. It's been more challenging, ironically, in the pandemic at times, but trying to stay on target. How has fitness worked in towards, how can you be a fit person? How can you do exercise and have IBD? I get a lot of patients who say, well, I can't get fit because I've got my Crohn's and Colitis. I might hurt myself. I don't have the energy. What kind of advice would you give them about how fitness plays a role?
The disease tries to break you mentally. So I told myself 29, 30 years ago, whenever I was diagnosed with this, almost 30 years ago, that I wasn't going to let it break me. So the way that I felt like I could have self-esteem and self-worth and combat the chronic pain that I was in was to make myself as physically strong as possible. And it might sound like, well, how does it actually work if you're running to the restroom all those times? So I just would set aside certain hours during the day when I knew my disease wasn't going to be as violent as other times during the day, and I would just dedicate that to fitness. And I would do certain things that I knew my body would respond to. So some things that wouldn't work for me in an active flare, I'm not going to be running. I'm not going to be jumping. I'm not going to be swimming. I'm going to do low impact workouts, and I'm going to include weights. And as we get older, doctors, it's really vital to incorporate weights into our workout. So I've always believed that the fact that I have dedicated a certain amount of time every day to getting stronger physically has helped me mentally really ward off what this disease tries to do in terms of breaking your spirit, undermining your self-esteem. And so fitness to me is a way for me to say, hey, you know what? Not today.
I absolutely love that. That's the right mindset. That's what we try to tell our patients as well, and tell our friends who have IBD in the community that, fitness is a way to build discipline. It's a way to build strength. And when you start developing that focus, it can help take some of the focus away from some of the other symptoms that hold you down, like the pain and physical pain, not just emotional pain as well. So I think, it's totally possible, and it's really critical, because when we are ill, and I'm turning my doctor's cap on here, my medical doctor's cap, when we are ill, we don't like to move. We may not like to get up, and especially if we're hospitalized, right? It only takes 3 days of laying in a hospital bed for the muscles to atrophy. And if you've been hospitalized, I know many patients have, then when you walk out of that hospital after several days of an admission, you're not as strong as you were, and that's because you might be still dehydrated, your nutrition might be suffering, and your muscles might be less limber and strong. So physical fitness is important, especially when you're not flaring, right? That's the time to build good nutrition habits and good exercise habits, so that for those rocky times where you are ill, you're able to combat it easier. You're able to recover from it faster. Jackie, I want to talk a little bit about the fitness event that we're going to hold. I will pull it up here on the screen for our friends tuning in. So Dr. Jacalyn is hosting another virtual yoga sculpt event this coming Saturday, June 13th from 10 to 11 a.m. It's going to be broadcast via Zoom. If you go to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of Philadelphia, or you go to Dr. Jacalyn's Facebook page, or my Facebook professional page at FITWITMD, you'll find links and you can register. We ask that for donations to be optional. Please give what you can. But know that 100% of all those donations go directly towards Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Dr. Kerbeck, you were awesome, okay, for doing this again. We kind of listed in your thank you. We kind of listed in your bio how a couple of the events that you've participated in. Can you kind of give people a little breakdown of things that they can do within Crohn's and Colitis Foundation to help fundraise money, some of the activities?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So one of our big events is the Take Steps Walk, which normally would have been the first weekend in June, and it takes place in Citizens Park. I have a team, Dr. J's Colitis crew, and we've walked the last 2 years. So this year, obviously, because of the pandemic, we are not able to bring thousands of people together yet, but we are doing a virtual walk on the 20th. The 20th of June. I've committed to walking 10 miles, and anyone who would like to join me and join Dr. Nandi, you can walk from wherever you are, and you can also fundraise at the same time. So it's an incredible event. The Philly Fanatic is always there, and I know we have a number of really special people who are going to join us again June 20th, and there'll be information on Facebook. Another event is the Spin for Cures. This is actually my favorite. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but I've been a certified spin instructor for a number of years, and it's just so much fun. You get on your bike, and we have teams, again, Dr. J's Colitis crew, and we split up the 2 hours of riding. This year, I've committed to 3 bikes, and that's because I want to have a bike all to myself for the 2 hours so that I can just listen to the music and ride and just enjoy the environment. It's an incredible experience. We are having the event at a local casino in Philadelphia this year, and they've got plenty of room to space out the bikes so that they're 6 feet apart. We also have the Evening of Hope Gala, which is such a glamorous event. We have incredible people who will be honored, and it's just a chance to get dressed up and have a different perspective and understand all that the foundation is doing all year long. The other thing we have is a team challenge. I did my first team challenge in November last year. I actually went to Las Vegas to run, and I was in an active flare at the time, and I honestly did not know how I was going to do it. And kind of an interesting story, I'll make it very quick, but I've been preparing, I've been running, I've been jumping rope, and I just was in a lot of pain. I flew out there, and the day of the race, I thought, I just cannot do this. I don't feel well. I'm mentally not in a good place. It's too hot out here. There's a lot of people smoking. I'm not used to this environment. And as we're walking over to the start of the race, this young woman just somehow falls in next to me, and we start talking. And here, she had been in the hospital. She had a major procedure for her removal of her colon. And a month later, she got out and she ran a marathon.
Wow.
And she's telling me this, and I'm thinking, what am I complaining about? So I thought to myself, this happened for a reason. And so we went to, I don't know what it's called, where they put you in the different, what's it called at the race, where everybody gets in, they have a number and you go into corral. You go into different
There you go.
corral. So she was in a much higher corral than I was, and I was in the last corral. And I started out walking, and I said to myself, you know what? Get it together, okay? You have raised money from other people, donations. They're expecting you to run. I'm expecting you to run. You better run. So I ran the whole way.
That's amazing.
And it's an amazing experience. So
that is
thank
amazing.
you for letting me share that.
Of course, yeah. But like you just said, there's unity in community. That story of meeting that fellow runner, that fellow IBD patient, you both going through your own personal struggles, meeting each other out there on that marathon run in Vegas. That's what Crohn's and Colitis Foundation provides. There's a lot of people out there who still haven't met someone else with IBD. And, you know, I know as a physician that only patients who have IBD can truly know, have any insight as to, you know, what another person might be going through. So, you know, that's another thing I think is wonderful about the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, that you can really find your community here and people who understand what you're going through. We got a couple of comments I wanted to share. We have, let's see if I can put this up on screen. Oh, so Stephanie says, Dr. Nandi is the best, thank you, and Dr. Jacalyn, great advice that can be used towards any illness, right? So people are really listening. And then I have somebody here who knows me in real life, who says, loving that facial hair, Dr. Nandi. Well, thank you very much. Some people think it's a fungal growth growing on, so I don't know. We'll see if we keep it or not, okay? Jackie, what do you think? Should I get rid of it, keep it?
Dr. Nandi, I like it. I like everything about you. It's such inspiration. You might not remember this, but we had a special event that we were invited to prior to Take Steps in 2018, and I didn't know a single person. I went down to Lincoln Field, and you came up to me immediately. Here I am alone, feeling intimidated, and you just came right up and took me under your wing, and I'll never forget that. And I thought, this guy is really special, and you are touching the lives of so many people.
I thank you very much. That's very kind of you. And yes, of course, how could I forget? That was when we had that Eagles tour, which was a private tour that we got of the locker rooms and the facilities. That was unbelievable. So that's actually one of the great perks that we get for fundraising if you're one of the top fundraising teams, that you get some perks along the way. I'm going to cut to our next page here, actually. We're going to show you a little bit about how you can help us raise money for Crohn's and colitis. So this is, you can go to FITWITMD on Facebook, and you can scroll down and you will actually see a link to our virtual edition Take Steps, We've Got the Runs. If you click on that, you can actually go ahead and donate directly to the cause right through Facebook. You can also register and join our team. Again, Take Steps this year is virtual. So it was going to be this past weekend, but because of the pandemic, we said, well, right now we're going to have a virtual event. But you know what? No COVID. You are not going to hold us back from holding our community together and celebrating and raising the awareness, the achievements that our community has made. So Saturday, June 20th, which is a week or about 9 days away, we're going to do a Zoom session. Preston from Preston and Steve Morning Show is going to be emceeing. I'll be there as well too. We'll have Dr. Jim Lewis from the University of Pennsylvania, kind of reviewing the latest in COVID-19 research. And we'll have some of our honored heroes and our physicians speaking and giving their insights. And I think it's going to be a really wonderful time. Again, it's Saturday, June 20th. From 11:15 to 12:15 is the Philadelphia program, and right after it, for another hour till 1:15, is our national program, and we'll be joined and led by our Crohn's and Colitis National President, Michael Osso. So if you can, please donate, join the cause. We want you to come out in solidarity. We know finances are strapped right now, so donation not necessary but greatly appreciated. 82 cents of every single dollar goes right towards research. And if you haven't read the news, everything's really coming down to the gut. We are the epicenter, the gut of all human health, okay? So if you can please register, we would love to see you there. Share the links, share the love. Dr. Kerbeck, I really want to thank you again for joining us this evening. It's been very special to have you here. And I know this is just going to be the first of several interviews that I'll get to do with you. We'll touch on many topics. Any parting words for our audience tonight?
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure being here with you. I wanted to just mention about this Saturday event, which is Yoga Sculpt. And some people have shared with me that they don't know what Yoga Sculpt is. They're intimidated. It's a time for you to reflect on you. What that means is it's you and your yoga mat. Nobody is judging you. Nobody is watching you. It's a time for you to mentally and physically decompress through yoga and then ramp it up with some cardio. We're going to do 4 to 6 minutes of cardio. You can do low impact. And then we're going to do a full body workout that you may or may not use light weights, 3 to 5 pound weights. But I promise you, once you start to be a part of this community of yogis, that will also change your life. And if you're a patient or a caregiver, this is really something I would advocate for you to incorporate in your life as well. Meditation and yoga are the key to finding peace of mind and that inner strength to help you deal with anything that comes along in life.
Wise words. That's absolutely right. So I think that this session Saturday is going to, it may be your first time, maybe your second time, or maybe you're a pro, but come. Everyone is welcome. It's a safe space, and we're going to have a great time together. Again, please join, register at the link, on the, and we'll send you the Zoom, private Zoom link for the session. I'll put links in the comments below so that they're easy to register for yoga or to donate to Penn's Got the Runs. You can actually just visit our web pages too on Facebook to find the links too. Dr. Kerbeck, thank you so much. I'm going to leave with a few closing remarks. This was our first time demoing our FITWITMD episode, and again, I am so thrilled that Dr. Jacalyn joined us this evening. If you have questions, if you require answers, if you need information, ask. That's exactly what not just myself, but our community is for. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation provides excellent, trusted resources. You don't have to search the dark nether regions of the internet for good information. It's right here. So if you have questions, go to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation webpage. If I can be of service, reach out. If you have ideas for other topics, questions you want to hear about for the future, reach out, and I can help to provide you the best answers available. So that's it for this first episode of FITWITMD. I have many mottos. One of them is don't be a nitwit, be a fitwit. Get the right info. Do what's necessary. Do what's right. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time.